Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you for getting us started today and handing the mic over to me. So everyone, welcome again. If you joined our kickoff event in November, welcome back and welcome to a new year for 2022 with Region 2. We thank you for being here with us, like Sarah said, especially while we've been establishing ourselves as a regional medical library. Just to review, Region 2 involves all of these different states and territories. They're listed there for your reference. Next slide, please. Thanks. And yeah, I just have some additional messages to share with you all. So, the first 6 months in Region 2 really involved two things primarily. The first was our team actually physically relocating to Charleston, South Carolina. We came from all over. Some folks were already in the South, some folks were already in South Carolina, and other folks like me moved from other states. I actually moved from Pennsylvania to South Carolina. I'm really liking it so far, especially the weather. So, that was a big part of just getting established and all of us sort of arriving here. The other thing that was a major part of our first 6 months was just onboarding as staff. So, one of the things that happens when you get established as a new regional medical library is that you have, your headquarters were located in Charleston at the Medical University of South Carolina. So we had to go through the onboarding for the Medical University under the directorship of the Shannon Jones. Right. So we're working with her and her team at MUSC in the libraries because that's where we're stationed. So we needed to do the onboarding for that process as individual staff members in our team of 7, which we'll reintroduce in some future slides here after I present. So that was a huge part of what we needed to do, get established with that, as well as getting onboarded to the NNLM, the National Network of the Library of Medicine, which was, really described in the elevator pitches that Sarah, eloquently led us through in terms of what we do for Region 2 and also how we're connected to that larger umbrella of the governing body of the NIH, the NLM, and the NNLM. So that's really what we focused on for the first 6 months. We've been working on establishing as a team our workflows, our systems, and also just building the team spirit, our camaraderie and our cohort to be more adept and to be more prepared to provide the services and resources that we want to for our region, for all of you. And we're hoping that through this session today, once we learn more about what you're interested in, hopefully and ideally will be in alignment with what you're looking for from Region 2 as best that we can. Over the first 6 months, we also had some initial programming and webinars. So that also happened as well. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about our goals and objectives for the rest of this year, and also some looking back for what we did in the first 6 months. Next slide, please, Sarah. Thanks. So some of our programming highlights were the It Just Got Graphic webinar that happened in October. Our program advisor, Heather Holmes, who was also the interim executive director before I stepped in, really helped coordinate that with Jamie Stanfeld. So, that was a webinar that got people involved with what graphic medicine is, and it was very well attended and a great opportunity. And then we also had Decoding Copyright with Will Cross, which was also a very popular webinar and both of these provided MLA CE credits. Next slide, please. So as far as collaboration, Deborah has done a beautiful job of collaborating with Region 3. We're really grateful to have had the opportunity to work with them and learn from them. And we're trying to do a lot of that actually, is working with other regions and using a lot of their best practices and workflows and templates to help us get established. And they've been so gracious. We're very grateful that they've worked with us. Shout out to Edward Caldwell, who organized a lot of this and, taught Deborah and I so much about how to have these presentations and these webinars. So we had one in June, actually before we started, in terms of the folks that were hired for Region 2, that was about LGBTQIA health. So that happened in June in collaboration with Region 3. And then also in December, after we joined, there was another joint webinar that happened with Region 3 about climate change, mosquitoes, and community health. So a couple highlights there. Great. So as far as the end of this year and looking forward into year 2, I wanted to share with you what some of our goals and priorities are. So for the end of this year, our grant cycle ends at the end of April, and the new grant cycle starts on May 1 for year 2. We are focusing on 2 things for the end of this year. One is data. So reporting and assessing our first 6 months so that we can, sort of look and make sure that we're meeting all of our targets and our milestones, and taking in the feedback from all of you, our members. So we're gathering lessons learned, and this is under a lot of the guidance with Elizabeth, our research and data strategist. And if you haven't met her yet, you will in a little bit. The other huge focus right now are outreach. So conferences and events, and also just membership engagement in general, of which this town hall is one of the pieces of that plan. So that is happening under a lot of the guidance and expertise of Sarah, who's our MC today, our community engagement and outreach specialist. So those are like 2 of the very important goals that we have for the rest of this year. And the entire time that we've been doing this, we've been providing funding and grant support for anyone who's applying for funding with Region 2. Some ideas for year 2 that we're looking at are to refine our education strategy and plan. That's going to be with Deborah, our user experience and education strategist. So, really paying attention to that, making sure that we are building up what we want our education programming to look like after we've had this initial successful programming in year 1. We'll be thinking about refining a technology strategy and plan. And that's going to be under the guidance of Deanne Brame, our technology and innovation strategist. So she's going to be guiding a lot of that plan as we create it. We're going to continue to map membership and engagement and hopefully bring in more data visualization for, the different regions that we serve and the different demographics that are a part of those different areas. So that's something that we're very excited about doing and leveraging. And that'll probably be in consultation with the National Evaluation Center, and working with folks that deal with data and NNLM writ large. We're going to focus more on emergency and disaster preparedness for year 2. So to try to support that as much as possible. And a lot of that will come into the governance structures that Sarah and I will talk about at the end of this presentation, and the possible committees that we want you to sign up for if you're interested. I just mentioned this, but like governance structures overall are something that we're trying to strengthen and use more in year 2. We want to increase exhibitions and conferences and site visits, hopefully, throughout year 2 and beyond. And then we also are very excited to share with you all that we're planning on hosting the NNLM 2022 Summit. That'll probably be in August, so save the date, probably for the beginning of the month. And even though we're super ambitious, right? It's our first year and they needed a place to have, this summit. It's been in different places in the past. And, we were super eager and said, we'll do it in Charleston. We love people to come. We want to share. We have good weather. We have good food. We're friendly. We have nice things to do outside, water, all kinds of stuff. So we're excited for people to come and, hang out with us for the summit in August. And you get that sneak peek that's planning on coming to Charleston later in the summer. Great. Okay. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Sarah, our MC. And yeah, again, I just want to welcome you all for being here and for listening to my little spiel at the beginning of our town hall today. Thanks.
Lauren, thank you so much. That was great. I hope I've marked my calendar now too, August for the summit. Hey, maybe it's over a Thursday night. We can do that adult roller skating.
I'm into it. I'm game.
Okay. We've got some pictures to show you of the personnel that is here in Charleston at the Medical University of South Carolina. Our startup team of Shannon Jones, Heather Holmes, Monique Hill, Jean Goodness, and Eric Lemon. They may be on this call. They're always listening in and always willing to help us, share advice, context. It's been amazing. And we're just trying to bring this this kind of baby to fruition. So let's go. I'm going to also show the next group. So that's our advisory team. The genius is behind it. This is the administrative team. We have Earl, Nisha, Isaac, and Lauren. We will be doing our personal introductions in a few. So this is just to show you our professional photos. And then we have Deanne, myself, Elizabeth, and Deborah. And so in a second, I'm turning this off, but now you can actually, I want you to be able to link, a person to their picture, to their job, to their voice, to maybe a fun fact about them. So without further ado, I am going to pause, stop sharing this. Our thing. Ooh, that's the next thing. Stop sharing. Okay, I don't think you can see anything else. Sure hope not. How this will go, so we're going to introduce ourselves, our Region 2 team to you quickly. It's going to include our names, our job functions quickly, the state liaison we're here for, and a fun fact. I'll let you know before what that fun fact is or what the question is that we're looking for. So these come from our weekly huddles that we do as a team, and it came from Elizabeth. We haven't heard each other's answers, so here, you'll hear it for the first time. The question is, for our Region 2 staff, what time period in history would you like to be transported to temporarily? So we're going in a specific order. I'll let you start us out, Deanne.
Thanks, Sarah. Hi, everyone. I'm Deanne. I use the pronouns she, her. I am the technology and innovation strategist, and my liaison state is Georgia. So hi, all you Georgia people. If you're here, say hi. So if I were to go back in time, probably for like a day, there's some concerts in the 80s and 90s that I probably want to go to. So that's probably when I would choose to go back. Just for a little bit and then come right back. So I'll pass it on to Deborah.
Can't hear you, Deborah. That's okay. I know you were warming up.
That was a warm up. Thanks, guys. So I'm Deborah Trogdon-Livingston. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the user experience and education coordinator. So I'm planning the education adventures you guys will have. I am the liaison for South Carolina and North Florida. And if I had to pick a time period in history, I would pick 1883 in France. My favorite painter and painting is Auguste Renoir. And I like the picture Dance in the City because when I was very little, my father gave me a box of chocolates with that image on the box lid. And then as a as a college French major, I was able to see it in person. That's what I would do. I'm going to pass it, Sarah. Who am I passing it to?
It's me. Hello, everyone. My name is Earl Nisha Lumpkin. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the program assistant for Region 2. I don't have a specific liaison state. I help everyone. I'm primarily responsible for Region 2's administration and for managing any of the program's needs and functions. And for a moment in time, I thought about this really hard. I think I'm going to go with something that's current. I would say many moments in time before COVID. I wish I cherished a lot of moments a lot more than I did. And I just feel like everyone can relate to that. I'll now pass it to Elizabeth.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Roth. I am the Research and Data Science Strategist here at MUSC RML Region 2, and my pronouns are she, her. I am the state liaison to Tennessee. So if I got any Tennessee peeps in the crowd, let me know. I originally was in Nashville, now in Charleston. And it's a hard question, but I really love fashion, and I'm always drawn to that Edwardian turn of the century fashion with the hats and the corsets and the long skirts. And I just would love to go back and see that clothing in action. So that's where I'd choose to go.
Isaac, are you going
I
to,
am.
you have something for us?
I am Isaac Cherry. My pronoun is he, his, and also my job responsibility, I'm the grant administrator and the office manager. So I'm your financial guy. If you need money, talk to me, and I will try to see what I can do. And with that being said, any time period for me will be, I would like to see myself back in 1975 when I was born, to see what I was like and what I was doing, and to compare to my 46 years old now, to see what it was like going back. I always wonder what it was. I see some pictures, but I would like to put myself into it just to see, play it back. And without any further ado, I will pass it back down to LJ, Lauren Jackson.
That's me. Thanks, Isaac. Yeah, I thought about the 1970s too because of music, like there's such good music in the 1970s. But anywho, oh, and also Isaac is our liaison for the US Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. Gotcha, no problem. So Lauren Jackson, executive director. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns interchangeably. I manage and direct the program and help work with all the lovely people that you're meeting today. I represent Mississippi and Puerto Rico as my liaison territories, areas. So yeah, I thought about this. If I could be transported to a time period in history, I'm originally from New York. I would choose the Harlem Renaissance, 1920s and 1930s, and get to meet all of the amazing writers and artists that came out of there. I have a lot of pride from being from New York. So, all right, and I'm gonna pass it to Sarah for her answers.
Hey, thanks, Lauren. That small pause I had, just like I got nervous all over again. Goodness. I am your host. My name is Sarah Fisher. I am the community engagement and outreach strategist. So I focus on membership, new membership, existing members, just people. And I do a lot of on the ground work and reaching out and engaging you. My state representation is South Florida and Alabama. So here I come to those places. Send me a chat. I've linked up with some people. I'd love to have conversations with everyone, as the other strategists and staff and team members of mine will do as well. My time period in history is World War II. And I came up with this because I'm a Francophone, so a lot of Europe changed during that time, and especially with North Africa and former colonies. I find that fascinating. And then on another side of the world during World War II, I've also traveled to Burma or Myanmar, and I read some books and how World War II affected Asia. And that side of the world was really fascinating as well to learn about. So I'd probably skip to different locations during that time period, if that would work. So you guys can take that question back to your own staff or family members or new people you meet and ask them their thoughts. Thanks for listening to us. Thanks for our staff presentation to you all. If you have any questions, I see lots of greetings in the chat, which is so warm and welcoming. Thank you. Any questions? Nothing's really burning, it seems, right now. So we'll keep on trucking and keeping you guys engaged, keeping the crowd engaged. Really happy to have you. Moving on to Elizabeth. I'm going to share my screen again. Bear with me. Here we go. Aha. Play from this current slide. I did it. Okay. Here we go. Oops. A little further than we wanted to. I'm turning it over to Elizabeth. Welcome, Elizabeth. Thank you. Hi.
Thanks, Sarah. So I wanted to present a very quick snapshot of you, our membership base, based on what we have at the moment. And I'm excited for possibly our next town hall could share some more visuals in terms of even greater breakdown of demographic and health needs in different areas. But right now we have 1,300 member organizations in our region, which is really exciting. You'll see in the pie chart, which is the chart on the right, the breakdown of different types of organizations that are actively involved with the network of the National Library of Medicine here in Region 2. And what I thought was pretty cool is that a majority of our members are public libraries. And as someone who had been working in a public library previously, this is a really exciting stat to know that public librarians are getting our consumer health information and are sharing it out with their communities. We also have strong representation from academic libraries, as well as hospitals, and then a growing group of K through 12 librarians, which is also exciting. And then on the left, we have a little bar chart showing the membership by state and territory. And I remember if you were on our last call, we asked the group as to where you were calling in from. And this is pretty consistent with what we saw in terms of our membership base, as well as we have strong representation in Florida, followed by Tennessee, Georgia, and you can see the rest. So if you're from any of these states that have less participation, please reach out, let your colleagues know in that state to join us, become a member with the NNLM. But we have at this moment as well around 1,800 active users in our membership base as well. So individuals who are part of these organizations or who maybe are members of the public who are just interested in this topic. Our membership is always free and available to anyone who falls in our region. So just giving you a baseline of what we're starting with, and we cannot wait for these numbers to grow and to really expand who we're reaching in our region. Thank you.
So interesting. Thanks, Elizabeth. Does anyone have any questions, any data questions about the information that's been provided?
I guess I do. I was just trying to figure out the like health sciences libraries versus academic library. I don't know. I'm always wondering like, wow, there's such a small proportion of health sciences libraries. And I'm like, oh, well, there's really not many of them compared to the rest. I guess, yeah, I would, and then the other category, of course, always ends up being lots. Are the categories, have they changed at all, or is it just, those are just always the categories?
This is a really good question because the network of the National Library of Medicine is currently streamlining the categories. So this was me going in and some people identify as both a health science library and an academic library. So for these purposes, just pulled out the health science libraries and then academic libraries that were not identifying as health science libraries. So there's a lot of overlap, but they are actually trying to streamline this so it is more clear on the front end. So you don't have to pick apart. But I was honestly surprised to see that health science libraries are a pretty small percentage in terms of everyone that we serve. But you're right, there just aren't as many.
I'm Roland Wellmaker in Georgia at Morehouse School of Medicine. I'm not surprised because if you look at it, there are far more public libraries than there are any other kind of library almost, other than maybe school libraries. And I thought it might be a good idea to say, well, let's look at it in terms of how many libraries are there in each of these areas by type even, and do it, because I'm sure Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands are smaller entities and don't have as many libraries, but they may have a higher percentage of participation than anybody else. But I like this information because it does give us a perspective as far as numbers.
Yeah, that is awesome feedback because yes, can we look more at proportion? Mm-hmm. What percentage of libraries are participating? as opposed to just the straightforward numbers. I love that. Thank you for that feedback.
Anyone else? Questions, answers for us?
Hi there, this is Rachel Fensky from the University of South Alabama. I'm assuming there is a way to find out who is a member on a website. I haven't looked in a long time. So is there a URL, or you could just let me know where?
Yeah, I will get the URL for everyone to where they can search and see if your organization is listed. That is a public list. And if it's not, you don't see it, please sign it up. And you can do that directly on the website as long as you have a user account. And if you realize you don't have a user account, you can create one as well. So I will find that link and put it in the chat. We would absolutely love for everyone to go in and double check that your organization is a member, and then to even go and update your account so that you can clarify for us what type of organization it is, so that we're counting you and reaching out to you in the most accurate way.
Yeah, and also reaching out to like public libraries or other institutions that aren't on there to join. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Great. It looks like Deanne threw it in the link in the chat. Thank you, Deanne. And there was another comment: health science libraries would not be academic and not hospital. So possibly a cancer facility or association library.
Yep. Yeah, we are understanding there is definitely some confusing way that these have been classified in the past. So thank you for that clarification too.
Any other ones, or you hold your peace until the end, or throw them in the chat? I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. Thanks so much for your feedback and participation. Ready to move on to the next one? I think so. Thanks so much, Elizabeth. That was great. Okay, here we're moving on to Isaac. And he's going to speak about funding first, and then I'm going to follow up with conferences. So we thank Elizabeth, and we welcome our teammate and colleague Isaac to the stage. It's all right.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here. Before I start, I want to go back to the previous slide. You don't have to go back, but to all the U.S. Virgin Islands, I am your representative. And because I'm from the island, I do love rum punch. So we can definitely, I would love to hear from you all, and let's try to do some virtual meeting over rum punch so we can talk about how we can support you, and how can we try to make sure we get your participation and membership up as well. So, and hit me back on a virtual over rum punch. So let's do it. Now I'm ready to talk about the funding. And again, our budget period started as of 5/1/21 to 4/30/2022. And again, our group, by the time we started, was most of us come on board, and I came on board in August, and our leadership came on board in September, and our librarian came on board as of October. But we have covered a lot of ground from October till now. So as you can see, our budget that was part of the restricted budget was $190,000, which that we had to give out to our outreach program. And out of the 190,000, we were able to award $175,000 to 7 out of the 8 state and territories. Again, as we mentioned earlier, our state and territories, we are establishing ourselves within the states, within the territories, especially the U.S. Virgin Islands. And then our goal is to move over to Puerto Rico to make sure we get them engaged, to get them involved. So we are very excited about that. So I just wanted to briefly kind of give you the breakdown. So we successfully awarded 12 awards, and that will be ending as of 4/30/2022. And the breakdowns were, number one, the health information outreach, and those were like $15,000 each. And those were 7 awards that we give, and then it varies from different states within our regions. And the second award was technology improvement. We did 2 of those awards, and then we had the expert health information, that was 1, and the exhibit award is 1, and then the professional development we did 1. So basically, we are very excited to work with those like recipients and to make sure like we are moving the LLM region forward, and we are excited about that. And the last spill, we have some funding available, but I don't want to steal sour thunder, but we do have some funding for professional development. We also want to encourage our region to participate in. Sarah will give more information on that. With that being said, if you have any question regarding the funding for year 1, that's how it was distributed, and we excited to see what we're going to do in year 2. If you have any question, I will happy to answer it. If I don't know the answer, I will get back to you.
Lightning fast, Isaac. Awesome. Anyone have any funding questions? Going once.
We have some questions.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Has funding budget shrunk over the pandemic? Interesting. How will you determine grant programs? We got a couple of them in the chat, Isaac. Let's see. One is, how will you determine grant programs?
I will ask Shannon and Lauren to chime in as well. We have some RFPs that we're gonna describe our request for proposal. We're gonna have several of them to see what we're gonna be funding, what project we're gonna be funding. So to answer the question, have our budget shrunk? Not to my knowledge. And then again, for budget period 2, we're gonna submit our PPR, and in budget 2, we're gonna follow what was awarded within our notice of grant awards. And will you be continuing to sponsor MLA webinars for Region 2 members?
Yes.
Isaac, did you call my name?
No, I was saying that to chime in, like some of the questions, but based on what my experience, I believe I addressed all the questions except for, will you be continuing to sponsor MLA's webinar for Region 2 members?
Yes.
Perfect.
Can professional, yeah, go ahead, Isaac.
Can professional development awards be used to bring a speaker training to your institution?
Yes. That's how they've been used. When we were part of Southeastern Atlantic, that was one of the things that you could do for professional development, because that means you're bringing someone to your institution to train you or talk to you about a particular topic. So yes, you could. It is not just for you going to a meeting or paying for development for yourself.
Perfect. I guess to follow up on what Shannon's saying, if you are bringing speakers in different training, so there'll be the different mechanism to get that to you, and so I will look more to see exactly. I know, like for the professional development, if you're gonna be a self-development, if you go into a meeting, there's a different process we use that's very simple and straightforward. But if you're gonna send over to your institution to bring in speakers, they'll be more involved in a sense.
Great question. Thank you. Someone loves to see how the funding is awarded. Great. Good input. How do you feel, Isaac?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the last question.
How do you feel?
I feel great. And again, the only thing for the professional development award, it has to be spent by 4:30, and we'll send more information And I know Sarah's working on a couple ideas and where you can go. And so basically we have $14,000 approximately, about $2,000 per award. So we believe you could be seven awards available. And so please email us, talk to us, and then we can get you connected.
And Isaac, did you answer the question about whether the funding budget, whether it shrunk over the pandemic? Did you answer that?
I believe I did. Like it did not shrink. I don't believe it did. Right?
Yeah, it didn't shrink, and because we were new, we estimated the first year budget based on what was awarded in previous years by Southeastern Atlantic, and it seems like we were right on target with what we sent out, and we estimated a little higher for year 2. So there wasn't a shrink. We kind of stuck with what Southeastern Atlantic had done traditionally, so that we could see what the productivity and the performance of the new Southern region would be. So we think that we have it at a good number, but I think the way that you all apply and the rate that we fund will tell how we need to estimate for subsequent years.
Yep, and I see Deborah has her hand up. Deborah?
I just wanted to point out, there was the question about, did we still support the MLA webinars? And I wanted to point out that we do still have some complimentary codes. If you haven't gotten an opportunity, for Going Gray with Google Scholar for systematic reviews and curated data for long-term preservation and public sharing. And that's going out in our social media tomorrow, and be on the lookout, and we'll continue to post those. So please make sure and follow our social media, and I'll drop that in the link for you guys. Well, that link in the comments for you guys.
Great, thank you so much. And if you missed the social media link in the chat, it's the last slide today. So we'll bring you back to being able to contact us. But thank you so much. That was the Shannon Jones too, that we were able to elicit some feedback for. So thank you for participating. Thanks, Isaac. And it was a perfect segue for me to go into a conference schedule. And so think about this $14,283 that are left. That has to be spent by 4/30/22. So I'm going to get out of this presentation hush and go to another one and mute myself for a second. The conference schedule link is in the chat. It's a bit.ly, so I think you have to plug it in. You can pull it up at the same time. Probably you quicker.
Hey, Isaac, can you also clarify when you say it has to be spent by April 30th? Hypothetically, if someone applied for a professional development award to go to the MLA annual conference that is May 3rd through 5th, is that still an option, even though that is after April 30th, but most of their expenses will likely be incurred prior to the conference?
Thank you, Shannon. That's a very good question. Our goal is really to spend all year one budget within the budget period, which is from 5/1/21 to 4/30/2022. And for example, if somebody's going to a conference, if there's a restrictions open early, they can apply. For example, if they're applying for a hotel, we cannot incur those costs until they stay at the hotel. So therefore, that will push them into year two. So they can use that funding from year one to pay for the hotel when they come back. So they won't be reimbursed for that. So with that being said, so we're trying to make sure the year one budget is spent in year one, and year two will spend in year two. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it did. I knew the answer, but I was asking it for the the attendees.
Yeah, but that's a very good question, because I want to make sure like if folks that are applying for grant in year 2, but if the conference won't happen until after the budget period ends, and they cannot really put that part of the budget for that year 1 or year 2, it has to spend within that budget period.
Increases that human connection, because it's going to force you to say
What? Oh, and the other thing too is just, I'll make sure y'all see it, that someone said post a URL to a non-Google Doc site, because many people working in institutions, Google has been blocked. And so that's just something for y'all to consider.
I just posted a Word document. If you could let me know if you're able to access it now, that would be great.
Thanks for helping troubleshoot that.
And yeah, so what you, Arnisha, what you did is that you uploaded it to Zoom, so they should be able to download it to their computers.
Right, yes.
Oh, and someone said Bitly is blocked. Oh.
We will have this conference scheduled for you afterwards as well. We will have it clearly in multiple formats.
So maybe if you put it on the LibGuide, LibGuide seems to be safe.
We'll put it there. We'll put it there also maybe on Civi too, and with this slide deck. But if any other questions towards Shannon or Isaac? Shannon, do you have a question for me?
No, I don't have any questions.
I have a quick question. Do all the awards have to go through the institution-sponsored programs office? You know, even if they're like $2,000, because I know that the indirect cost and F&A cost, by the time you complete the application, a lot of the money is going to the institution. I've done this in the past where I did not go through sponsored programs, and just wanted to find out if that was an absolute.
Very good question. So that's what I was trying to allude to earlier. If you do apply for the Professional Development Award, which is for yourself, where you go into a conference, and that one is easier for me to process, where for example, I can pay for the registration, and you can book your hotel or your flight, and I can pay for the flight as well. I can reimburse you for the flight, so that's easier to do with my P card. But if you are getting the Professional Development Award to pay speakers that's coming to you, where I need to send the money to you, so that's the whole different process. And then where I have to go to our ORSP office and to set it up as a sub award, and then so we can send the payment to you in a sense. And that's what I was saying. So it depends what mechanism we'll be using.
If I may interrupt, I know every institution is different. This is Roland Wellmaker again, but at Morehouse School of Medicine, when NNLM said that we could not use any of the money for overhead or whatever, the school honored that. So all of the monies went to the library or to the individual if it were a grant for professional development.
Okay, yeah, I've had to, you know, not finagle, but, you know, write reasons why the F&A costs or indirect costs didn't go to the university. But I've also gone through other state organizations as a intermediate, you know, I don't know, distributor, I guess, of the funds, which was, you know, fine. And I did that often, so. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Rachel. Roland, thank you so much for your input. Okay. Anything else? Okay, here's that conference schedule that may be difficult and we'd like to make easier for you to access. And we created this in response to that 3 months, the 3 months, you know, before the end of April and the end of this our last grant cycle for the first year. And so we created a list of conferences that are actually happening before the end of the grant cycle. So if you can travel, or even if you can travel virtually, here are some. So I'll just kind of give you an idea of the organization of this document. You know, we're of course asking for feedback for you. I'll let you know what we'd like to know from you is in this list. Once you guys, once you can review it, is there any conferences that are missing? Are there any ones that you think are really important? We'd love to add them to the list. And also, are there any conferences or spaces that you would like to see us at, our staff, exhibiting, presenting, attending? We'd love to know what you think. So it's not in alphabetical order. So I am not a trained librarian. So, but starting out, we've got the Public Library Association, you know, there's some Red Cross, it really runs the gamut for different conferences that are before the end of April 2020. So in the, you know, the next couple of months. So the Southeast Collaborative, there's a lot of different ones. So we have some national, some conferences on a national scale, and then we went by state just to help out our region. And there's state specific conferences that we found. So for as I am the state liaison of Alabama, and A starts first too in the alphabet, Alabama Library Association, the Rural Health Conference, HOSA. So wondering what you think in Alabama, where else do we need to go, or what other options are there that may not be included in the list? So we've done this for each of the states and territories. There is some connections. Mississippi, we need to know about some conferences, so help us out. South Carolina, Tennessee, for example, and I'm going through this quickly, just not to make you, not to give you seasickness or anything, but just to, or motion sickness, but just so you kind of can get an idea. So as I said, first there was the national conferences, and those are all before the end of April or the last day in April. And then it goes state by state conferences. And then I have these additional conferences through April 2022. I have not vetted these, meaning I vetted the other ones, like I checked them out, made sure that they're live conferences. But the ones below here, some of them are in Germany, Haiku, China. So if you're able to travel there, perhaps we can offer grant funding to get you there. So we will make this document available, but we would love to know if we're missing anything, if you think that there are important conferences that need to be on this list and for us to have on the top of our brain. And also, where would you like to see us? Any thoughts or questions in the chat? I can't see the chat right now.
Yeah, I answered some questions in the chat already, Sarah.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, no problem.
We're ahead of schedule, everyone. That's amazing. Okay, well, and I'm sorry to leave it in the middle of this Wisconsin Health Literacy Conference where our very own Deborah will be presenting. And as of right now, it still is in person. So this we will make available for you. And you can always reach out to ask us anything individually about it. But I'm going to stop this share and come back to our slideshow. Once again, this is the kind of conference schedule document. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat. We can talk about it later as well. Anonymous comments can be made at the end on the Padlet. So I'm going to quick mute and I'll switch over. Bear with me. Thank you.
Y'all, while Sarah gets set up, if you could just drop emojis or, chats to recognize her for that conference document, She worked so hard on it and compiled so much information that if you could give her shout outs or put it in the chat or give emojis, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you for the love. So playing from here was that conference schedule with perhaps that bad bit.ly link. So we're going to move on. And let's see, here's the final presentation from our staff. Thank you for bearing with us. Thanks for long hauling it. We are still thrilled you're here. Finally, if you are interested in spending more time with Region 2 members and the Region 2 staff, let's welcome Lauren back so she can speak about governance boards, the Emergency Response and Preparedness Advisory Committee, UPAC, and the Regional Advisory Board, RAB, which she will be starting with. Lauren, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So yeah, we have two possibilities, two ways to get involved, just like Sarah just introduced. The first is the Regional Advisory Board for Region 2. A little bit more about that. It's going to be co-chaired by Shannon, our principal investigator, and me. And we want representation from a bunch of different groups on this board: health professionals, health science librarians, hospital librarians, representatives of state library agencies, all kinds of folks. Sorry, can we just go back to the thanks? You know, and just across different underrepresented populations and community organizations. The purpose of this board is to provide an advisory role in the planning, implementation, and evaluation of our regional programs and services. So you really have that feedback mechanism and a way to lead in terms of what's happening throughout Region 2. Here's the ask. It is a year-long appointment. So we ask for folks on this board to be committed for a year. And the way that the meetings break out is that we're thinking that there'll be one initial hour-long goal-setting meeting where you meet each other and sort of figure out where you want to go next. And then from there, the commitment would be about 4 meetings a year for 1 to 2 hours a piece. So we want you to know like what would be required of you in terms of the time commitment to serve on this board, you know, and be transparent about that. And then we figured that you would have, you know, maybe an additional 5 to 10 hours of doing individual work or progress or projects and subcommittees or subgroups from that board. And yeah, that would be, you know, 4 meetings a year, 1 to 2 hours. So pretty much quarterly. There's an award. So if you decide to serve on this board and you're selected and you apply, or you've been invited to do so, and you're on track for 6 months with meeting all of the asks that are outlined here, you'll be awarded a $500 honorarium from Region 2 to thank you for your service. We know that sometimes people get on boards and committees and they're not necessarily compensated for their labor. One of our priorities and values and goals for Region 2 is to compensate people for their labor as much as we can. So if you serve on this, we will offer that to you. If you don't need it, or if you're like, no, you know, I'm not interested in taking that, it could be donated to someone else or to a student on your behalf. Next slide, please. Thanks, Sarah. So you can nominate folks, or you can, you know, sign up yourself if you're interested in seeing about this by emailing us at our email address, region2rml@musc.edu. It's a pretty simple process. In the email, you just provide the name of the person you want to nominate, their title, their organization or institutional affiliation, and just a few sentences about why you think this person would be ideal to serve on the Regional Advisory Board. Just as an ask, we are especially trying to recruit board members who identify as Black, Indigenous, or people of color, folks who identify as disabled, LGBTQ+ community members, and also seniors. So if you belong to any of those groups, we would love to have representation of you on this board to reflect the demographics of throughout our region and making sure that we have folks making those decisions who are actually from those same communities. So we would love to have you. It's a great professional development opportunity. You've never served on a board or you don't know where to start, or you know someone who would be a wonderful addition to the team, maybe check in with them first and then nominate them, or they can also send us an email. We ask that these nominations be submitted by Friday, February 4th. That's a pretty tight turnaround from the town hall, just so we can get started, right? Because we want this to be established within year 1 so that we can start doing work together in year 2. So now I'm going to talk to you about the other committee, and then I'll have time for questions after that. So we have the Emergency Response and Preparedness Action Committee, also fondly known as UPAC. This one is chaired by a staff member. Sarah is our community engagement and outreach strategist. So she's the one who's in charge of really chairing this committee. They also have an advisory role for the folks who will be on this particular committee for disaster management programming, establishing regional priorities and plans to respond to emergencies and disasters, and sharing best practices and soliciting community feedback about how to best do this, right? So throughout the South, but really around the world, right, people have to deal with all kinds of emergencies and disasters, and we want to try to be as best prepared to support them and have infrastructure, to be able to help them. Libraries are really essential for this. I'm sure that you've seen this over, the past 5 years. Libraries have really stepped up to be able to bridge resources and community support when there are intense natural disasters or, other issues that people are trying to deal with. So we want to get ahead of that and have representation from each state and territory, from librarians, library staff, information professionals, and those affiliated with medical, public, academic, special, any type of libraries, because they serve that need for the community. Also, we're interested in having disaster workforce members, health and allied health professionals, public health workers are also essential in a situation like this. And through, COVID, we've definitely seen that they are so important, as well as first responders, emergency managers, community volunteers. Anyone who plays a vital role in health-related disaster preparedness, response, and recovery, we want you. I think I would also just add to this that folks on this committee, I'm really interested in, and I think we are interested as a region in having representation from people who have supported loved ones through disasters or have been through them themselves, if they are willing, to bring that experience to our team, just because if they've had that firsthand, knowledge and engagement with those really difficult situations, we just feel like that would be so valuable to share that and to share those best practices in a way that we can develop better plans to support people when these situations happen. So that's also an ask that I think we would look for in particular for folks on this committee. This is also a year-long appointment. It would follow a pretty similar structure to the RAB. So 1 hour of a goal setting meeting, and then quarterly meetings for about 1 to 2 hours, additional individual work and projects for about 5 to 10 hours throughout the year. This also offers an MLA disaster information specialization to participate in this. And again, there's a $500 honorarium awarded to folks on this committee after 6 months of following the track with what we're asking for here, and that can also be donated. This one, as opposed to the RAB, is actually a form. So if you're interested in doing this one, the link is here, and we'll drop that in the chat for you. You just fill out that form, and then we'll get back to you after that. Sarah, do you want to add anything before we open up for questions about these two boards?
Here I come. Thanks so much, Earl. Nisha, I see you put the Region 2 email in it, and as well as the link to the committee interest form for UPAC, which I'm thrilled to chair and really excited to work with others from our region. This will be really interesting to see, our brains come together in order to work for the region. And I'm really excited. So thanks so much, Lauren, for introducing those. Let's welcome any questions you have about these governance boards. Lauren is probably super prepared to answer the questions. No, we welcome them from in the chat. or just take yourself off mute.
Sarah, did you ask me a question, or are you waiting for someone to ask a question?
I was just in a nice gentle pause for a moment.
A
And
pregnant
then I was
pause,
going to
love
say,
it.
I'm sorry, Shannon.
I said pregnant pause. I love it.
Yeah, it was for me to catch my thought, my breath, and welcome everyone else to do that at the same time without them knowing it.
And I exposed you, sorry.
Hey, it's okay, it's okay. But if we don't have any questions or anything, we will move on to our final activity. Let's see, thanks so much again, Lauren, for explaining those two governance boards. Here is the Padlet I had talked about so fondly at the beginning. We've made it this far, so thanks so much for staying with me and staying with Region 2. We are opening this time, this remaining time, we are dedicating to an open forum and discussion. This is for questions, comments, compliments, troubleshooting needs, an opportunity to better understand what the region needs and how we can best answer those questions or develop programs. And there's funding activities, there's everything. We can do everything. So let us know if you have any questions. I'm going to go to this Padlet and kind of work from it. So bear with me. Any questions in the chat? I see the Padlet's there.
May I just add something, Sarah? So if you've never used Padlet before, down in the bottom, you'll see like a pink plus sign. You can click on that, and then it will allow you to, write something kind of like a Post-it note, and then it will show up on the board and we'll all see it. So that's how you use Padlet. So it's just, down there in that corner there, if you want to add something to the board.
I was talking to myself. How can we suggest research or projects for the future RFP? Cool tool. Ooh, it's working. Good to hear. We've used this bike rack in a lot of our programming and are kind of getting to know each other. It's been really fun to play with. I'm sorry, not to play with, to use professionally. You want to learn more about systematic review training. Okay. And I guess there's a question, how can we suggest research or projects for a future RFP? Does anyone want to tackle that one?
Yeah, I can jump in. I think that a good way to start with that would be to go to your state liaison or like rep to get it started. So if you really have a project that you're thinking about or a particular RFP, reach out to them. And that would be where we would start, I think. So you just want to know like who your liaison is and sort of go from there.
Hey, Lauren, I think you all are going to do a evaluation at some point of the overall program, and that might be a place where they can make suggestions and recommendations at that point too, so that we capture it in our overall evaluation.
Cool tool. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks so much for the compliment. Can we upload links to the presentations information from today, particularly the RAB description on this Padlet? I'm going to let someone else take over this question too. Lauren.
Yeah, Deanne, where did you want to put everything? I think Deanne might have mentioned where we're going to plug it in.
Yeah, so if you registered, I'll put the link on this Padlet to take you to our NNLM like website, and all the information will be there. Just give us a little bit of time.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and Deborah, for the systematic review training, we can offer webinars about that, right, to our members?
Yes, great minds think alike. I just posted something this very second in chat. We are very excited to learn from you all what you're interested in. So knowing that you're interested in systematic review gives me a great place to start serving your needs. So drop them in the chat, reach out to us. We want to know, and we will definitely follow up on that.
Thanks for including the nnlm.gov training class region 2 link. So this is Padlet. You can take this home with you and share it with others too. This tool, if you'd like. I learned it a couple of months ago with this beginning this job, this position.
Yeah, I'm wondering what folks think that are here about the ways that we've structured like the RAB and the UPAC committee, like just from folks here, like, are you interested in it? Does it sound like the commitment is reasonable? What do you think about the honorarium? We just have put that out there, but we'd love to hear more from all of you while you're here about what you think about the structure for those two, the committee and the board.
Hi, Lauren, this is Rachel again. I think it's great. One question I have for y'all. So it's the advisory role. So who would they give the information and, cumulative information to? Would it be to the individual coordinators, or to you or the director? Where would the information from the advisory board go to?
Yeah, I want to bring Shannon in on this question about where the overall, like you said, the input would go. I have some ideas, but I'd love to have her weigh in too.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Rachel, for that question. The overall input would be to help strengthen Region 2. So the plan would be to roll actionable suggestions back into the program, and also make sure that, because we are not able to serve you all if we're not offering services and funding and trainings that you all want. And so the hope is that the advisory committee is going to provide recommendations and advice on what would be best for the region based on their experience and what they know about the states within the region. And so the goal is not to assemble you all and not value your feedback. And so the plan is to roll it back in. And so when we have to write reports or make requests to the NLM or recalibrate our program, our goal is for that to be informed by the regional advisory board, but also the membership. And so the team is going to be doing evaluations and assessments, one of the things that Elizabeth is working on, so that we can make sure that we're capturing your feedback and your input to inform our work. That was a little harder to do when we were first establishing out, but I will tell you that some of the things that we were able to do when we were writing the proposal for the project was that I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with a number of directors in the region, just to ask them questions about what was their experience with Southeastern Atlantic, and then what do they expect from Region 2? What do they want to see? And so we were able to incorporate some of that feedback into our proposal right from the outset. So our focus is to take an outreach approach and make sure that we are constantly engaged with you all so that we are doing the things that would be helpful to the people that you're serving in your local communities. And so that's my take on it. But I'm not every day in the trenches in the RML work. Lauren is. And so I'm gonna pass it back to you, Lauren, because it'll be your and the team's job to capture this feedback. And so I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shannon, for setting that up and helping explain that to us. Yeah, I think, Rachel, because this is the first time that we're doing it, I really want to be open to what the folks on this board think and what they've seen, in terms of being successful in their individual organizations, where they're coming from, so that we do use the feedback. I can tell you right off the bat that with the work that I've done with Shannon and with Elizabeth, our research and data strategist so far, we're very much interested in the data being applied. So not just being, not just sitting on a shelf somewhere and collecting it for collection's sake, but actually doing something with it to meet our people where they're at. So that feels really important to us. How we get there, though, I think you're right, is a good question. What do we do? How do we bring, everything that we've learned and that we've accumulated to be applied? And I can tell you that this is a larger issue within the NNLM. Like, they're constantly struggling with, like, okay, we have this data, we know that we want it to be applied, we know that we want it to go somewhere, but how do we actually get there? And apply those things. And so I think that it's going to be a team effort to figure out how, but I'm really interested in doing that in a successful way and actually modeling that from Region 2.
Right. And how many members are going to be on this advisory board? Do you have a limit or a goal as to how many people you want going to get?
Yeah, we have an idea. So for the RAB, I think we're looking at about 10, like 10 to 12. And I believe it's the same for the UPAC. There's a little bit of wiggle room there, depending on who joins and sort of what they want to do. But those were some of the numbers we were thinking of.
Yeah, because you don't want it to get so large that and we can't
right.
can't be effective or make a decision. But one of the things that we also have to do, again, I just want to reiterate that in writing the proposal, we propose 2 advisory boards. Well, actually 3. We proposed the combos group is the Consortium of Southern Biomedical Libraries, which is the library directors, and they're already an established group. And so we wanted to use them as one sounding board because they were already established, and we wanted to make sure that we had a direct contact with what were considered to be the resource libraries in the region. And then the 2 advisory committees. But we have the flexibility to create additional committees as needed based on our program needs. And so there may be some thematic committees created. And what I mean by that is we know that research data services is important to the NNLM and to NLM. And we also know that a number of our libraries in particular in the region are establishing programs, are hiring people to do that type of work. And so that might be a committee that, or a work group that we may create. And so we have the flexibility to do that because we want, one, to provide service opportunities, but we also want to make sure that we are being advised by people who are doing the work that we are trying to influence. And so, but yeah, the groups won't be huge because we do want them to be meaningful and impactful and productive.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, so I saw a couple other questions in the chat, or I'm sorry, on the Padlet. One of them is someone's interested in knowing the long-term goals for Region 2 and NNLM. Well, we just got started. We've only been formed since October, but our next town hall is going to be in April, and we can provide more information about our long-term goals for Region 2 and the NNLM in that town hall. That's a good suggestion, and we'd be happy to do that. There's
you
another
might-
question. Yeah.
No, you might want to consider just putting up the aims that were in the, I mean, in some way, shape, or form, we can pull things out of the proposal and share some of the things that were in the proposal so that you all see what we said we were going to do. And so I think we'll just need to probably distill that out, because it was a 200-page document and we don't want to give them 200 pages, but here's what we said that we were going to do for you, and here are the goals that we have. And again, the goals would be informed by the membership.
We have aims, milestones, goals, but like Shannon said, it's too comprehensive right now. Like it's too involved to share, but we can definitely, like she said, distill it for April, and then we can post it online so that you can reference it as well.
And the question about the NNLM goals, I think their strategic priorities, I think that's an interesting question, because the NNLM essentially is in a period of transition, because with the bringing on a new RML and a number of new offices, I don't think those strategic priorities have been set. They'll probably be ready to share by the start of year 2. And so that's probably something that we can share with the group May, June-ish.
Yeah, definitely for the more specific one, but it is definitely informed by the larger NLM like
steering committee
plan, like they talk to each other. So that's why I think that those comments are in there. But yeah, for real specific goals, the NNLM is going through a lot of transition right now, like Shannon just said.
We're still waiting for any input on the Padlet. I see people like it. You can change the colors too of your Post-it. There's another pregnant pause. Okay, I'm going to come back. I'm going to stop sharing the Padlet. Here I am again. Oh. Okay, what are we feeling? This was calculated for 2 hours. And at this point, we have 1 hour and 31 minutes into it. And wondering where you are. If you have any other questions that we have not answered, if you would like to tell us anything, this is the moment you have us. Can we talk about data sharing goals? I'd love to. What would you like to know, or does that make sense to you, Elizabeth? Only because it has the word data in it.
No, I would love for Mary Ellen to share more about the question.
Mary Ellen, do you have leadership for research data sharing from researchers?
Well, this is something we are definitely participating in the network's efforts with research and data management, and bringing webinars and other learning opportunities. And so the first thing I would point you to are our RDM, research and data management, online learning modules that you can access in the training, on the training page. Those are on demand. And then also, this is exciting, next month, we are doing a joint class with Region 3 on the DMP tool, the data management planning. If you've never used it and you want to get familiar with how to help your researchers to do data planning. That will be in, I think, February 19th. So join us and we're going to teach about that tool. So we're hoping to continue to expand more and more of those opportunities of learning about data sharing, learning about research data management, but definitely check out the on-demand opportunities that are on the NNLM page right now.
Thanks for that direction, Elizabeth. I'm thrilled that we have so many of you on this call today. I know that some of you have to go, and thanks for saying thanks and letting us know that you're leaving. Any other questions for anyone on the team? Can you share the link for that class?
Yes, I'll drop it in.
Elizabeth will drop that in. Thank you. Bye, Carlos. Yes, we will share the recording of this town hall. I arrived late. Jennifer Smith, you have a surprise for you. We have a surprise for you. The whole town hall recording will be available. We will post that on the Civi account and let you know.
Just jumping back to the question about the NNLM strategic plan that we were talking about earlier, I found a good link to share from the handbook for the NNLM, and that goes through some of the priorities and changes and performance measures. So that should be really helpful to whoever asked for that on the Padlet for now and what we have. Yep.
Thank you, Lauren. And Elizabeth put in the chat as well, DMP tool basics. We're just bubbling with information for you all. How are we feeling? Okay, so thanks so much so far for your energy and your effort, the group activity, for writing all these questions, putting your comments, input, and compliments together. We've been excited about holding this first town hall, and you heard the second one is in April. A big thank you, of course, to my colleagues, our advisory committee, Shannon Jones, everyone for being here and the support. We look forward to seeing you again in April. We're not going anywhere quite yet. I'm gonna get in I'm gonna connect eyes with Lauren to make sure that we can go. I've got this last slide for you though. So you can reach out to us even more again tomorrow when we're not on the Zoom call. So you can send questions to our Region 2 rml@musc.edu email. Also, you can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. So follow and or share our social media. And those are at NNLM Region 2. I'm going to stop share and come back and look in everyone's eyeballs to see where you are, because at this point it's 3:36, and I've said everything that I need to say.
I would just like to give y'all a great big kudos, because I know it has been a lot of work and struggles to get this all together after, NNLMC has been established and y'all came in together and y'all have created a very, very good dialogue, jumping right off the start, giving awards. So my hat's off to you. And I love NNLM. I love it. So congratulations, and just thank you for this type of interaction, because I know a lot of people who are new to NNLM, it can be kind of hard to understand where it all fits in the umbrella, and you've explained it very well. And I just want to say thank you, and I look forward to many more years of working with y'all.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for those kind words. We're clapping you back. And we're learning too. It's new for us, so no one should feel like they're alone. We're all in this together.
Yeah, and Rachel, thank you for that, because we started from nothing. There literally were 3 of us, myself, Heather Holmes, and Monique Hill, with a vision for bringing this to MUSC, and we didn't know what we were gonna have on May 1st. All we had was the 3 of us, and we were able to spend the summer doing some really good recruitments, and we think we've assembled, probably the best team that the NNLM has to offer, and so I am confident that they are going to take real good care of you all, and really make sure that the region, whatever service you were accustomed to with Southeastern Atlantic, our aim is to level up and to offer even better service. And so I'm just as pleased as anybody on the call to see a fully staffed RML up and working and engaged with the membership. So I'm excited, just as excited that they are here as I am that you all are here actually talking to us and giving us feedback. So this was a good touch point that we had envisioned that we would do. And so now the vision is becoming reality. And so we're excited. And so we're excited that you all are going to be here with us every step of the way and along for the ride. And that when we don't hit the mark, that you all let us know in a loving, kind, compassionate way, because our goal is to hit the target every time, but we're not perfect. So definitely keep the lines of communication open. The team is responsive, and just let us know. We want to hear when we're doing well. So when we meet your expectations, we want to know that. But also when we miss the mark, we also want to know that, because our goal is to be the best of the best. And so thank you all for coming, and thank you for that feedback, Rachel. And again, we look forward to working with y'all.
Awesome. Thank you, Shannon.
Yeah, so I'll tell y'all something funny. So I'm working on my dissertation, and there one of my people that I'm confiding in, I've been ignoring an email from him. So he took this moment to say, hey, send me your dissertation information. Thank you, Roland. I will. You got me.
Shout out to Morehouse in Georgia.
Right, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, this has been amazing to meet you all, and for your participation. Anything else we want to say? I say thank you for coming, and to have a wonderful rest of your day. We're going to have some time back, perhaps, but I want to confirm that with the Shannon Jones and Lauren Jackson, just to make sure that we've got everyone's questions answered, and we cannot provide you with anything else today.
We're about to hop off, Sarah. I just want to thank you for being our MC and our facilitator today. Excellent job. We can also give a shout out to Earl Nisha, who DJ'd those lovely tunes throughout. She also was, really a lot of the brains of the operation, making sure that this went off without a hitch. Deanne serving as backup, for tech. We see you, we appreciate you. I always like to give shout outs to the people who helped with the facilitation today. So we just want to recognize you all. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Rachel, for your beautiful words. Thank you, Shannon, for what you also shared. That was very lovely. And yeah, I'm just proud of the whole team. Glad that all of you could be here. And I'm thrilled. We're doing great things. We're really proud of Region 2.
Lauren, I would also like to say I'm impressed with this team. Shannon, y'all done good. Thank you too for that. We need that.
Thank you, Roland. We appreciate you. We appreciate your feedback too about the data and everything that you shared. That was great. Hope maybe you'll think about serving on one of the boards.
Thanks for watching. This video was produced by the network of the National Library of Medicine. Select the circular channel icon to subscribe to our channel, or select a video thumbnail to watch another video from the channel. Thanks for watching. This video was produced by the network of the National Library of Medicine. Select the circular channel icon to subscribe to our channel, or select a video thumbnail to watch another video from the channel.